Hey, what is up? Love Shatecehaynes Haynes here, and welcome back to another video coming to you live with yesterday's lashes, no face makeup, and nails that are very, very overdue for a fill. I don't have any of my life together. I don't have any of it. Adulting, don't know nothing about it. Welcome to another video. So for today's video, I figured that I would sit with you guys and do an update on my Hidradenitis Suppurativa journey. It has been, I'm pretty sure it's been over a year since I've done an update and talked to you guys about what's been happening with my HS. Things are going, for the most part, pretty well, and I just wanted to talk to y'all about how the journey has been so far. So don't worry if this is your first time hearing the term Hidradenitis Suppurativa. I will get into all of that. I'll do a little bit of an explanation on my journey so far, what the surgery, recovery, healing process was for all of that. And then just kind of talk about how things have been going since then. So if that sounds like something you are into, stay tuned for today's video. Let's get into it. Hidradenitis Suppurativa, or HS for short, is, in a nutshell, it's a chronic inflammatory skin disease that is mostly an inflammation of the hair follicles, and it causes you to get pretty painful cysts or boils or lumps on the parts of your body that rub together. That is the very, very condensed nutshell version of it. It's a little more than that, but for the purposes of this video, I feel like if you're watching this video, you probably already know what, or at least have seen or have some clue of what HS is, or at least what it looks like, or you or maybe someone you know has it. And if I don't know how you got to this video any other way. But in a nutshell, that's basically what it is. It mostly, like I said, deals with parts of the body that rub together. So these are areas like the armpits, the groin area, under the breasts, the butt area. But it's not only relevant to those areas. I've also had boils on my face. I've had them on my legs, and I think that's about it, besides like the normal areas. As you can imagine, it is an incredibly painful skin disease to have. It can cause a lot of excruciating pain. It is very debilitating, and it is, I'll just say they call us HS warriors for a reason. It's something that is not contagious. It's not due to hygiene. It is something that you have, and I don't think people really know what causes it. I know that there are things that can trigger it. There are foods that may trigger it. There are other underlying issues that may make it worse. There are activity and lifestyle habits that can trigger it for sure. But in a nutshell, that's kind of what it is. If you want more information on like basically what it is a little bit more, I have other videos on it that I'll link below, or I might link to some other really good HS related content, and I'll link those down below too. So with that out of the way, I kind of want to do a little bit of a backstory again for those who may not know of my personal journey with HS. I started getting boils when I was about 15 years old. I noticed under my arms there were some bumps, but back then when it was new, they were very, very little, so I kind of didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of hidradenitis before. I didn't know anyone that had it. Well, I did, but I didn't know that I knew people that had it. I didn't know what it was. I noticed I had a boil. It popped later, and then that was kind of it. It didn't happen too much in high school. It was really when I got to college where it became like a bigger issue, where it really started affecting my quality of life. Around college was also the time that I had been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which is something I might also do a video on later. Let me know in the comments if you want to see something like that. I don't know how many of my subscribers are also diabetics or type 1 diabetics, but let me know. I got diagnosed with diabetes about maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month before going to college, and I had no idea what I was doing. I took like one diabetes education course, and I was just not doing a good job of managing my blood sugars, and I'm not sure if there's any correlation between high blood sugars and hidradenitis. I don't know that, but for me anyway, it did seem like the higher my blood sugars were, and the more poorly managed my diabetes was, the worse my HS was. But again, that may have been all the dairy and just a lot of stuff. Anyway, so when I was in college, my freshman year is when I got probably the worst boil in my life. It was huge. It was under my left arm, and it was so big that I couldn't put my arm down. Like I was walking around campus kind of like this, so I would like carry my bags on my left arm so that it gave me a reason to kind of poke my arm out a little bit. But it was mostly because I had a boil that was so big and so painful. If I put any pressure on it, it would hurt a lot. It was really bad. It's like every single step I took, I could feel it. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't walk. Everything was very painful. But there was a point where I went to the health services building on campus and they said that they couldn't fix it. They said it was way too big. They sent me to a clinic to get it lanced. I think I would get a boil like at least once a month, but it would take like the entire month to like pop. So it would be excruciating pain until it got to that breaking point. And I remember like one time I was in the cafeteria at NIU and I had a boil that was so bad, and I knew that it was close to popping because it was getting like just unbearable. And I remember I was eating and then it just broke open, and I was like, okay, I'm wearing a white shirt, my fault. And I'm like, how do I get up and leave this situation with blood, pus, bacteria, I'm assuming, like it was just so bad. I majored in theater studies and minored in LGBT studies, but it was mostly the theater studies that was difficult with HS. We had like movement classes, voice classes, acting classes, and those were all pretty physical courses. Yeah, it was really difficult to deal with that. There were lots of pain, lots of me not opening up to professors because I was embarrassed. It's a very difficult disease to have. It can make you feel very bad. It can make you sometimes, at least me, it made me feel very unclean. Even though I was bathing, I was washing, because the smell of it is one thing that really gets a lot of people. Yeah, bro, like it was just bad, especially in the summers, because I would wear like a cardigan in the summer because I was covered in gauze pads, and it was it just really fucks with your quality of life, if I'm gonna be blunt about it. Fast forward, I started working in a food processing factory. Really needed a job. They paid well, so I got a job there at a factory, and it was fine. I was happy. I was lucky to have a supervisor who was kind of understanding of my situation, and made me feel comfortable and didn't push me too hard, where the physical labor part of which is the entire job was physical labor, let's be real. Who didn't like push me overly hard, but like still encouraged me to work, to get things done. And I did pretty well. Even with HS, I showed up to work, I did my job, I did all the physical stuff I needed to do. But then it got to a point where my arm was like hurting incredibly bad, but I didn't have any new boils or anything under my arms. And I was starting to wonder if there was some type of like infection or something going on. Something with HS is that once you get to a certain stage of it, once you've had so many boils under your arms, it gets to a point where tunnels start to form under the arms as well, or wherever the affected area is. And there are a lot of boils under both of my arms that just would not heal. Like they were just open wounds that never healed at all. So I was wearing gauze pads under my arms for, I'm pretty sure, I am confident that it was about like 6 years. For about 6 years, gauze pads, tape, every single day. So anyway, I was just like, okay, well, this amount of pain that I'm feeling is not a normal amount of pain. So I went to a doctor, and it turns out that my arm, one of the wounds under my arm had been infected. And I was so confused because I'm like, I'm cleaning my wounds, I'm using the right stuff, like I don't know what's going on. So I saw my doctor, and he initially put me on antibiotics. I was on and off antibiotics for a while, about 4 months. It just wasn't working. So at that point I needed to have surgery. So I'm gonna mention right now, when I'm getting into the surgery part of this, that I'm gonna be showing a lot of photos of my arm before and after surgery. And it may be a little graphic for some people, so I want to give like a preliminary like trigger warning if you're sensitive to that type of content, to blood and HSE stuff. If you have HS or you've seen it, then you already know what we're about to get into. But I just want to be as transparent as possible. So I'll be showing pictures of things before and after of my arms and things like that. So you have been warned. Yeah, basically no, my camera is not dying. This is why you need another battery charging at all times, because my camera is about to die. Hold on. Yeah, so we got into surgery. He basically told me that what he was gonna do was cut away the skin and then replace it with a plastic graft, like a small piece of some type of plastic. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's like some medical grade plastic thing for those purposes. I don't know. Hey y'all. Okay, so I'm just coming in here because I realized that this part of the video where I'm talking about the plastic graft that my doctor used for my surgery, I actually did research on it, and it's called an Integra something. But this intricate graft is basically like a plastic graft that is used to reconstruct skin on burn victims or on people who are going through reconstructive surgery. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I just wanted to add that in. Basically a plastic graft that he used, and he was going to sew it over the wound, and that would help promote like healthy skin healing. And the wound eventually did start to heal. My skin did start to grow back over time, but it took quite a while. I think for my first surgery, it took about 4 to 6 months, I think, for the wound to heal. It's a long healing process. It definitely is. I remember going in the day of surgery, and it was pretty straightforward. You know, they got me all prepped and everything. I went into the OR. They gave me the general anesthesia. I was out. I think he did say there was like a small, tiny complication, but nothing major. So it did take about a little bit longer. I think he said the original procedure was going to take about 45 to 50 minutes, and it ended up taking about an hour and a half for my first one. But I woke up in heaven. Oh my God, it felt so good to just not have that pain there anymore. But I was definitely scared at first. It was my first ever surgery ever. They weren't dealing with any major organs or anything. So I mean, I guess I didn't have that to worry about. But again, your first surgery, especially if you don't like being put under, like I know a lot of people don't like it. So it's a weird feeling. He left the wound open, which I have a few people have reached out to me on Instagram and told me the same thing. But he left the wound open. It was like, I'll show a picture again. It's like a really big hole that was basically left in my arm of just nothing but muscle. And it was so, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was freaking cool, dude. Like I thought that was actually kind of like, I don't know, like I just never seen anything like that, especially on me. So aside from the pain that led to it, I thought it was pretty cool. I'll admit. I had this huge open wound, basically. And over time, the wound got smaller and smaller, and it eventually healed. It did eventually pull on the skin, obviously, as it was healing. So that's kind of the only physical effect of it. So there was that, aside from also the large scars under my arms, which I'll show you guys in a minute. So that was kind of what the surgery was in a nutshell. Cut away the skin, replace it with the plastic graft, and then it healed over about 4 to 6 months. About a year later, it was the same situation for my left arm. And that one was literally the exact same thing. The only difference is he did not have me on antibiotics for like anywhere near as long. I think he originally wanted to try antibiotics to avoid having to have surgery if I didn't need it. But the second surgery on my left arm, I think he only had me on antibiotics for, I think maybe a couple of weeks, because it was the same doctor. His name is Dr. Goldman, by the way. So I saw Dr. Goldman again. However, it wasn't a high priority surgery because this was May of 2020. Yeah, this was May of 2020 when I had my second surgery. The first surgery was around January 2019. And the second one was May 2020. I have no idea. This was like in the very deep heat of the beginning-ish of the pandemic. They weren't scheduling surgeries that weren't high priority at the time. So he had me on antibiotics for a couple weeks until I could get my surgery. So then a few weeks later, I went in, and again, it was the exact same thing, exact same procedure. This time it only did take 45 minutes to do it. Same thing, went in, got me set up, put me under, did the surgery, and then I woke up and went home the same day. I did go home the same day my first surgery too. Again, same type of healing process somewhat, 4 to 6 months to heal. I'll get into the wound packing and the dressing and what helped heal my wounds in the process. So that is basically a summary of my 2 surgeries in a nutshell. For both of my surgeries, the basic rules were to clean, bandage the wound, go see him for follow-ups often. For both surgeries, he told me not to remove my bandages for the first, I think, 72 hours. So I couldn't shower or anything for like 3 days because I couldn't get the bandages wet, or I couldn't like sweat or do any of that stuff. So should I put a picture of this? So I remember the second surgery anyway, when I took the bandages off, and my God, y'all, it was a lot. So for both surgeries, I had about 1 month off of work. So like I said, I worked in a factory, and one of the benefits of my job was that I had short-term disability that I was able to take. In a nutshell, short-term disability basically allows you to, if you are having some type of procedure or you need to be out for a period of time, you can still get paid as you would get paid at work. To an extent. So now getting into like the recovery, I've had a lot of people reach out to me recently on Instagram about getting their first HS surgeries and like wanting to know what the healing process was like. So I'll show you what everything looks like now. Let me go ahead and zoom in. Okay, so this was my first arm that I had got my procedure done on. And this is what it looks like now. There's a pretty, as you can see, pretty big scar going along here. But as long as I use like Vaseline, and I use bio oil too to make the scar at least like soften it up, so it's pretty fine. I can still feel everything. It's a little numb, but I can still kind of feel everything. But back here in like this area right here, it is still kind of numb. So that's the right arm. And then this is the left arm. But I don't know if you guys can tell, there's like a little divot in my arm, like right here. It didn't really affect my arm in any way, except for the fact that it pulled on the skin a little more. Oh my God, wait a minute. Hold up. So I feel like the surgeries low key on like some other shit. I feel like my surgeries kind of like make me look a little buff a little bit. And I think it's because I don't work out like that. I mean, yes, I have a physical job and I do try to stay active, but like I'm not like a hardcore like gym rat yet, okay? As my wound was healing, I think it pulled on like the skin a little bit and like pulled other parts of my skin towards it as it came together to heal. And like low key, it kind of gives that like definition. Like I don't really have like a lot of muscle there. Hold on, let me see if I can try to like, hold on. Like see this right here? And then this right here? And then if I try to like, woo! Hold up, let me, ooh, wait, can this one do it? Oh, that hurts. I got a little bit. Oh, y'all, I can fake it. That was very unnecessary, but like basically, yeah, this is what they look like now. I do, obviously, because the skin has been pulled, I can't really reach. I mean, I can kind of reach up. Like, oh, I got these big ass earrings on, child. Let me take these off because I can't even lift my arms up because I got these giant freaking earrings on that are so unnecessary. I can kind of reach up for the most part. I feel like I have like 99% like range and flexibility I used to have, but I can like move my arm any way like I used to before any of that. It's a little tight on this arm because of, like I said, this little divot, but basically that's what they look. I just can't like get, ooh, don't play with me. Anyway, I need to go lay down and take a nap. Anyway, so that's basically what everything looks like now. So now let's get into the healing and recovery process. Like I said, the healing process took about 4 to 6 months for both arms. I would basically just use my normal, like a normal antibacterial soap for everything. I kind of wanted to demonstrate how I would pack my wounds. Obviously, I don't have the wound anymore, but I've had people ask me on Instagram like how I would sleep at night, how I would like dress my wounds, what I use. So I still have my old, this was my on the go like wound care kit like that I used to have. When I was still taping up my arms, I would have things like gauze pads. I would have these, oh, I got Band-Aids in here? Oh, I didn't know I had Band-Aids in here. I just ran out. Now I got some Band-Aids. Okay. And then I would have, these are Adhesive Remover wipes are what these are. And I liked using these to, when you're using, if you know, like when you have gauze pads on your arms and stuff, the tape can kind of get abrasive and it can leave residue on your arm. So this was amazing at wiping off that residue. If you're using tape, there are other methods like HidraWear. I've talked about it on this channel. I'll talk about it later in the video. HidraWear is a really, really great resource for wound care treatment. But if it's something you can't afford, or if gauze pads are just easier for you to obtain, then these are really good. So basically what I would use is this right here. This is Krinkle gauze right there. And it's like a bandage roll. And so it's the gauze that looks like this type of texture that like you can use. And this is what I would use to pack the wound. So what I would do is, oh, that's where my scissors were. I was wondering where these, I'm throwing these around like these aren't scissors, but damn, I should look for this. So I take like basically a strip like this, and I'm gonna like for real do it, even though the wound's not there. I wanna show you guys because people have asked. So I would take it and then I would cut it like this, right? So you cut your gauze And this is how I do it. You're gonna do it, like you'll find your way of doing it if you're getting HS surgery. You'll find your way of doing it, but this is how I did it. I would kind of take it and then I would kind of like stretch it a little bit, like pull it a little bit. I don't know if this did anything at all, but I saw a doctor do this one time. And then I like kind of wrap it around itself. And so I would take the gauze and then I would like put this inside the wound like this. And then I would take one of these. This is an abdominal pad. I don't know if it's like focusing, but basically I like using abdominal pads because they are very long and they are pretty they're pretty thick, so they can like hold your hold the packing gauze in pretty well. So this is what it looks like when you unfold it. Like I said, pretty big. So I would take the gauze like that. How do I do this? And then I would take this and then put it under my arm like that, and it's still like I could still like bend my arm with it, so I like this one. And then I would take like tape. The type of tape that I used I don't have anymore, but I will link it, or I'll show a picture of it and I'll link it if I can find it. And all of this stuff I'll have linked below, because here's the thing. The first time I went through the whole wound packing process when I was healing, I went to like a local what was it? I went to a local medical supply shop, and I spent so much money on gauze pads and tape and crinkle gauze and abdominal pads. I had to buy the entire bin of abdominal pads and it was like $70. We don't have time for that. Go on Amazon. They have everything you need. There are plenty of like medical supply brands on Amazon. I'll link every single product I used or something similar down below. Save your coin. You do not need to go to like the medical. So I mean, unless that's your preference, but it was too much money I was spending, and I was having, and like I have to pack this every single day for months. Like that adds up. This tape that I have isn't the tape I prefer to use, but it's the only tape I have left though. So for the purposes of this video, I'm just gonna use this stuff. But basically, imagine this is better quality tape. So what I would do is you take the tape, and what I would actually do is I would tape it up before I put it on. So let me take this off. And so I would take the tape and then kind of like, hold on, I can't really show you. And so I would put it on there like that. Once the tape was already secured, then I would go in and then place it over the crinkle gauze. And I'm wearing a tank top right now, but this would you would do obviously with no shirt on or anything. And I would basically do it like that, and then tape here, and then that's just gonna be taped to my shirt, I guess. Again, I would not recommend using this tape for it because this is not great. That's why I recommend the other tape. Again, I don't have that tape with me anymore because I don't bandage my arms anymore, but when I did, I would use the other tape, abdominal pads, and crinkle gauze. That was all I used to package my wounds. If I had residue on my arm because of the tape, I would use these. That's pretty much it. And then I would keep everything in my little pouch right here. And this is just an old Sephora bag. Let me put everything back. There was even a point where I would go in to my doctor for follow-ups, and he would just have me do my own gauze and dress the wound myself, just because you are with your wound. I need to stop. I need to stop like throwing this around. You're with your wounds every day. You know your body. You know what feels good and comfortable to you. You're gonna know that more than anyone. So you can kind of experiment with the ways you want to package your wounds and dress everything. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did, you guys. So another thing with recovery was, like, people ask a lot about the pain. For my right arm, there was very, very little pain. For me anyway, there was at most discomfort and maybe a little bit of pain. But again, this is absolutely nothing compared to how normal boils feel, to how it felt when it got infected. I have never, since having the surgeries, I have never felt anything in my arm that's remotely close to the pain I felt before I had my surgery, basically. There was some discomfort, especially the first few days, because you're a little tender. You're definitely gonna be tender. It's probably different for everyone, but for me, I didn't feel any of that. When I got my right arm done, there was like not really any pain at all. However, my doctor did prescribe me Norco for the pain, and I don't even think I finished it. My left arm, however, I don't know if it's because of the way it healed with like the divot right here, or I don't know if it has anything to do with muscle tissue. I don't know anything of that. But there was definitely more discomfort with my left arm. More so when it came to sleeping. I did have someone on Instagram recently ask me how I slept. Basically, when I got my right arm done, I could sleep kind of however I wanted to for the first time in months, dude, I don't know why I keep saying this. The left arm, it was a little bit more difficult because I don't know what it was, but like I couldn't really sleep on my side, because if I slept on this side, then the pulling of this like to sleep would irritate me, and it was a little painful, and I couldn't sleep on it either, the other side. And I'm someone who sleeps on my sides. It was a little difficult at first, so I had to sleep on my back. But what I would do is I would lay like back, and then I would have like a pillow like right here, like a small pillow like right underneath me, and that really helped to ease like some of the pressure from like my arm, like because it was basically my arm had to be in like one position to like sleep. That is pretty much the surgery, recovery, healing process of all of that. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the cost of everything, and this is going to be real short, okay, because I want to preface this by saying that when it comes to the cost of this surgery, I think it's going to vary. It's always going to vary. Different doctors, different locations, different hospitals, different insurances and premiums and all that stuff, deductibles. It's all going to be different for everyone. I don't remember what the surgery was called, but I will write it down here. I'll write it down here. I do know that my second surgery cost around $52,000, and my insurance paid all but, I think I had $2,000 or $3,000 to pay out of pocket, and I'm still paying, okay? I'm still paying on that. And then my first surgery, I don't remember what it was, and I tried to go through my like online account, like the hospital account. Maybe it was too long ago because I can't go back that far to my first surgery. But I do know that my second surgery is still on there, and it was about $52,000, like I said, but the first surgery was definitely more. It was way more. I don't know why. I did have different insurance at the time, so maybe that was it. I know that there was like a smaller complication, so maybe it was, I can't go through the details because like my online account like breaks down every single charge. I can't go back and find that anymore. But there was like a lump sum amount that I think I took a screenshot of back when I did my first video after my first surgery. So I will try to find that. But if I can't, just know that it was more than my first one. And I want to say it was like upwards of like almost $100,000. But my insurance did pay for all but I think $5,000 maybe. So that's all I can kind of say with cost, because like I said, things are going to vary. Like I don't think anyone's is going to cost the same. But yeah, I don't think I would have been able to get those surgeries without insurance at all. So life now. How is life now after 2 HS surgeries? A hell of a lot better. One thing I want to mention, I don't think I mentioned it in this video, but I have in other videos, and that is that this surgery was never promised to be a permanent fix for HS. I don't know how long these results will last. My doctor was very open and transparent with me that, you know, there have been times where people have gotten surgeries like this and they had no issues for like, you know, 10, 15 years even, and then had to get the surgeries again in the future. But for me, I'm like, I'll take that. You know, if I can get 5 years of no pain and nothing, and then maybe have to get the surgeries again in the future, you know, I would do what I would have to do, of course. But so far, you know, everything's good. Mentally, sometimes that does kind of mess with me, because there are points where I feel like, what if I start getting boils again? What if I'm gonna need another surgery? I think it's just a mental thing. Like anytime I feel anything in my arms, I get kind of scared for a little bit, because like, what if it comes back? I don't know. I don't know if I'll need surgeries in the future. I don't know how it's gonna hold up over time. All I can do is try to live, you know, as healthy and as positive and as all I can do is basically take care of my life as much as I can. Make sure I keep myself, my diabetes, my everything in check. Try to be healthy, focus on my wellness, and just see how life is. And if, you know, I have to get the surgeries again in the future, then I'm probably gonna do that. For the most part, things have been fine. I don't feel pain in my arms ever, which is something I hadn't been able to say for over a decade before my surgery. So I do, in a lot of ways, feel like I have my life back. I love to move, I love to dance and things like that. And so not being able to do that was very like hard acting was hard, school was hard, everything was hard. You know, HS is one of those things where like one of the things that can help, even though it won't eliminate it, but one things that can help is working out, getting your body moving. But how do you do that when you can't move parts of your body? My HS isn't like just over, because I still get boils in other parts of my body. My groin area, specifically like my inner thighs, have definitely more now than they used to, surprisingly. That's not great sometimes because it affects like me walking. But again, like my boils that were in the groin area were never, ever, ever, and still are not ever as painful as my arms were. So it may be painful. Okay, one of them was actually pretty painful. HS is still going strong, but my symptoms for the most part are not what they used to be. So that's good. Random note though, like one thing that happened is the doctor that I saw for my surgeries, Dr. Goldman, is the same doctor I'm seeing right now for non-HS related things, but for like, I've been having some gastritis, maybe irritable bowel syndrome, maybe gallbladder, we don't know yet type of thing. I went to see him about it recently, and I told him about my HS videos and how a lot of people were asking like who did my surgery and all these things. And I said like, yeah, like you've like been getting a little bit of love a little bit, and the impact that his work has had on me has been amazing. And he told me that, yeah, that was only like my second or third time doing that surgery. I was like, what? Come again? That's crazy to me. Like I you know, I should have known this, because when I went in to get my surgery, I remember like at least the first surgery, like there was always people coming in and out of the room. Like he was like, can so-and-so come in and take a picture? But anyway, so yeah, I was like very surprised. He was like, yeah, this is only my second or third time doing the surgery. But I guess maybe he just knew what he was doing, because like, I think he did a pretty good job. But I was like, damn. Like, so for the last part of this video, I want to talk about resources and things that I have found very helpful in my HS journey. I want to shout out some resources that some that I've worked with, but others that I just find very helpful. This video is not sponsored in any way. I'm not making any money from this video or anything I mentioned in this video at all. Full transparency. The first one is HidraWear, of course. It was one of the first companies that I learned about that had any type of wound care products specific to people with HS. The CEO, Suzanne, was amazing. I met her, and luckily I was able to work with HidraWear in a series of videos. I've also written some blog posts for them. I'll have them linked below. But just their entire website is good. Aside from the articles, blog posts, and obviously the products, they also have a lot more stuff now. Like when I did my old videos and unboxing on HidraWear products for people with HS, they had mostly the crop tops with the little pads, like gauze pads that you would put in to the crop top. They've got briefs for men and women. They have unisex t-shirts. They still have the crop tops. Just wanted to shout them out because they're really good. Another one is HS Connect. That's a great resource for people with HS if they want to learn a lot more about it. They do so much work in spreading awareness. They work with biochemists, therapists, other doctors, a lot of people in healthcare professional fields to kind of debunk a lot of things that we may not know, or any misconceptions we may have about HS. I actually did an interview with HS Connect a while ago. It was definitely a while ago. So I'll have that link down below if you're interested in that too. But I highly recommend checking out their website. They have a lot of resources. They've done a lot to spread awareness and really educate people on HS. So I would recommend them. Another great resource is HS Disease. They are really good at creating like an online community of people who have HS or want to know about it. So many great articles, so many recipes, which is the one thing that I struggled a lot with. So many great recipes for people with HS, because there are certain foods, like I mentioned earlier in the video, that can trigger flare-ups and things like that. So I really love them for that. Their online community is really great. So if you're looking for a community or resources, or just hearing a lot of stories, I read an article on HS Disease recently about HS imposter syndrome, which is huge. There's another article I was reading a month or so ago about toxic positivity within HS communities. There's great articles on like biases of overweight people in the healthcare industry related to HS, and sometimes the care that people who are overweight may receive. It was just really, really, really great. Oh my God, Jasmine, IVANNA, Espy. I think she just goes by IVANNA, I'm pretty sure. IVANNA is a journalist, filmmaker, content creator. She also has a YouTube channel. And she has been doing so much work talking about HS and spreading awareness about it in so many ways. The biggest thing that I first knew her for was for her documentary. She has a documentary coming out, I think, later this year, I want to say, called My Gold Lining. It's a documentary about hidradenitis suppurativa. I've been following her since I found out this documentary was a thing that was happening about a couple years ago. And I love her content, not just her YouTube videos, not just the work that she's been doing with her documentary, but she has written so many things for so many different websites and resources for people with HS. Her documentary, I think, is really going to impact the HS community, women with HS, specifically Black women who suffer from HS. I think it is going to be an incredible resource. I am so excited. I love her spirit. I love her energy. Yeah, IVANNA's doing really great work. So I think that's another person that you should really check out if you want to learn more about HS, how to navigate it, different things like that. So check her out. So the last resource that I would love to shout out is a brand called the Mama IU. The Mama IU is a skincare kind of body care brand that is specifically geared towards people with HS or inflammatory skin diseases like HS. One thing I really love about the brand is that it is Black owned. Yes, it's Black owned. The woman who started the company, I think it's Angel, and I think in her bio, I read that she started the company because her husband actually suffers from HS. So she created these organic Manuka honey infused skincare products for people with HS. And they include a lot of stuff like African black soap. She's got different deodorants. Her merch itself is really cute. My favorite thing is the African black soap. So it's really heartwarming to know that there are people looking out for us, especially Black women with HS, because I think that is so huge. So my question for you guys, if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, is, as HS is something that is very debilitating, as something that can have a huge impact on your mental health, if you have HS, what would be your main tip for taking care of your mental health? I think for me, that would be allowing myself the time and space to feel what I'm feeling, to take that extra care of myself, to have days off if I need it, because I mean, there are some days where it's just, things are just not gonna get done. So I think giving myself time and space to let myself feel the things I'm feeling and say no to things is a huge thing for my mental health. So I want to know what you guys think. If you suffer from HS, what is one of your biggest mental health tips for taking care of your mental health with HS? So that is it, you guys. I want to say a huge thank you to my HS warriors out there, because your guys' comments, you guys reaching out to me and sharing your stories with me and everything has helped me learn so much about HS in general, but just about the community of people who have HS. Like I said in other videos, like I kind of thought it was just me. But having this community has opened me up to a lot of you guys, a lot of love and warmth, and I could not be more thankful for that. I think we're at over like 2,000 subscribers on this channel. Holy shit. And I know a lot of that comes from other HS warriors. So I love you and thank you so much for your support. If you do want to reach out, please reach out on social media. Instagram is probably the best way. DM me on Instagram. It may take me a while, but I will get back to you. I don't know, I'm just feeling a lot right now. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, I love you so much. And that's it for today's video. I'm pretty sure this video is gonna be like 30-40 minutes. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I love you so much. Thank you so much for your support and your love. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like today's content, and I will see you guys in the next one. So I know I'm supposed to be filming right now, but my boyfriend just texted me that my Savage Fenty stuff is here. Well, now that I'm in an incredible mood today. So for today's video, I figured that I would do a hidradenitis. Jesus Christ. I wanted to do a hidradenitis. God damn it, I don't know what I'm saying. Okay. Oh no. Come on now. That went really well.